In the quiet suburban sprawl of Plano, Texas, something unusual has been catching the eyes of passers-by. A small fleet of Tesla vehicles, mostly Model Y crossovers, has been seen moving methodically through city streets, each topped with a spinning LiDAR sensor. For most companies, testing autonomous cars that sight would hardly raise an eyebrow. But for Tesla, it is a revelation. This is the same company whose CEO Elon Musk once dismissed LiDAR as a fool's errand, insisting that vision-based neural networks were the only path to true self-driving. Yet here they are, in late 2025, running LiDAR-equipped prototypes in Plano, far from Tesla's usual testing hub in Austin. The sightings confirmed by Teslarati suggest that the long-promised Tesla Robotaxi project is quietly shifting into a new phase and possibly a new philosophy. For Tesla watchers, the timing is remarkable. Only a year earlier, the company had unveiled its futuristic Robotaxi concept at a much-hyped event in August 2024. The prototype's clean design with no steering wheel, no pedals, and a panoramic glass cabin represented Musk's bold vision of a driverless future. But beyond the glossy image's real-world testing was limited, mostly to Austin, where Tesla's Gigafactory and engineering base are located. The move into Plano marks the first known expansion beyond that initial test zone. More importantly, it reveals a willingness to experiment with hardware that Musk once considered unnecessary. Each of these new test cars carries a small LiDAR array, likely for high-precision mapping and validation of Tesla's vision only. Full Self-Driving System, FSD V14. It is a small change in hardware, yet symbolically it may indicate a massive shift in mindset. The broader context helps explain why this development is so significant. For years, Tesla has pursued autonomy differently from every other player in the industry. While Alphabet's Waymo, General Motors Cruise, and Amazon's Zoox rely on complex sensor suites combining LiDAR radar and high-definition maps, Tesla doubled down on cameras and artificial intelligence training at scale. Musk's argument was simple: humans drive using vision, not lasers, so cars should learn the same way. That belief shaped Tesla's software architecture, data collection strategy, and even its branding. "Vision is all you need," Musk once tweeted. Now, however, the Plano tests imply that Tesla is pragmatically re-evaluating its purist stance, perhaps not abandoning its vision system, but augmenting it to speed up development and meet regulatory expectations. Behind the scenes, Tesla's engineers have every reason to act fast. The company's full self-driving V14 software, rolled out in mid-25, represents the most advanced version yet of its end-to-end neural network architecture. Early adopters have reported smoother lane changes, better unprotected turns, and fewer disengagements in complex urban traffic. But to reach the next level, the fully autonomous Robotaxi Musk has been promising since 2019, Tesla needs extensive validation data across diverse road conditions. Plano provides exactly that: a dense suburban grid with varying speed zones, construction areas, and complex intersections. It's also close enough to Austin for logistical convenience, but far enough to simulate new territory scenarios for the neural network. Each LiDAR sensor, meanwhile, may act as a ground truth reference to verify what Tesla's camera system perceives, a step toward reducing error rates and increasing confidence with regulators. Speaking of regulators, their role looms larger than ever. In 2025, Texas emerged as one of the most autonomous-friendly states in the U.S., offering flexible frameworks for testing self-driving cars without requiring a safety driver under certain conditions. That openness made Austin the natural launchpad for Tesla's Robotaxi ambitions. But Plano's inclusion suggests the company is preparing for broader deployment, perhaps across multiple cities by the end of 2025, as hinted by internal timelines cited by Teslarati. If successful, this expansion could transform Tesla's vast fleet of customer vehicles into a distributed network of data-collecting machines, paving the way for a commercial ride-hailing service that competes directly with Uber-Lyft and established autonomous programs like Waymo 1. Still, questions abound. Why introduce LiDAR now after years of rejecting it? Is Tesla gathering mapping data only temporarily? Or does this signify a permanent shift? Could the company be building a hybrid system? Vision first, LiDAR as backup to fast-track safety certification. Elon Musk has yet to comment publicly on the Plano tests, but he has repeatedly emphasized that Robotaxi is the key to Tesla's long-term valuation. Investors know this project could redefine the company's identity from an automaker to a mobility platform generating revenue 24 hours a day. The stakes are enormous. If Tesla achieves true autonomy ahead of competitors, each vehicle could become a self-driving asset, producing income for its owner, a vision. Musk once described as an appreciating asset, not a depreciating one. In that sense, the quiet rollout in Plano is not just another test site. It's a microcosm of Tesla's relentless push to bridge the gap between ambition and reality. The expansion hints at maturity, a recognition that achieving full autonomy may require blending idealism with pragmatism. It also raises the tantalizing possibility that the long-awaited Robotaxi network might finally reach American streets within the next year. Whether these LiDAR-topped Teslas are a temporary experiment or a permanent evolution, one thing is clear: the company is moving faster than many expected. And as 2025 draws to a close, observers around the world are once again asking the same question. The one that has defined Tesla's story for nearly a decade: is this the moment when self-driving finally becomes real? The Plano pilot marks one of Tesla's most data-driven moves yet. Reports from Teslarati Electrek and local observers describe at least half a dozen Model Y test cars circulating key corridors such as Preston Road, Parker Boulevard, and the Dallas North Tollway. Each vehicle carries a compact LiDAR dome on the roof and a cluster of auxiliary sensors tucked near the side mirrors. From a distance, they look like ordinary Teslas, but up close, the hardware tells a deeper story. It is Tesla's quiet attempt to cross-check the accuracy of its full self-driving FSD V14 vision stack with ultra-precise, three-dimensional mapping data. Sources familiar with the testing explain that the Plano fleet feeds data directly into Tesla's Dojo supercomputer, which now operates full-time training loops on driving footage from more than 1 million customer vehicles worldwide. In contrast to earlier versions, FSD V14 relies almost entirely on end-to-end neural inference. Raw camera images are processed by a single AI network that outputs steering, throttle, and braking decisions. LiDAR, in this context, is not steering the car, it is acting as a truth detector, validating what the vision system sees. Each laser pulse creates a 360-degree depth map accurate to within a few centimeters, allowing engineers to measure any discrepancy between what cameras think is a curb, a signpost, or a pedestrian, and what reality actually is. By aligning those datasets, Tesla can refine its model weights faster and with fewer costly human labeling errors. Analysts at Electrek note that this is a pragmatic adaptation rather than an ideological reversal. For years, Musk argued that LiDAR was unnecessary for consumer-grade autonomy because it was too expensive and fragile for mass deployment. But using it temporarily as part of a validation or calibration phase dramatically accelerates data quality. Other firms such as Waymo and Cruise have followed similar workflows since 2018, using high-resolution LiDAR only during mapping, then switching to lighter sensor suites for production cars. If Tesla is following that playbook, it would signal a maturation of its approach, rather than a retreat from its camera-first philosophy. From a regulatory perspective, Texas provides fertile ground for such tests. The Texas Department of Transportation, TxDOT, maintains some of the nation's most permissive autonomous vehicle statutes. Companies can operate vehicles without a safety driver as long as they meet basic insurance and safety reporting standards. Tesla's prototypes, however, still include human operators behind the wheel, both to gather feedback and to satisfy ongoing insurance partnerships. Local officials in Plano confirmed that Tesla filed a standard autonomous testing notice earlier this year, but did not request road closures or exemptions, suggesting these runs are low-visibility data collection exercises rather than public demonstrations. In parallel, internal memos cited by Teslarati outline a tentative timeline. Phase 1 covers the Austin metropolitan area. Phase 2 expands to Plano and Dallas suburbs by Q4 2025, and Phase 3 aims for pilot robotaxi rides in select U.S. cities by mid-2026, pending federal safety certification. That aligns with Musk's repeated claim that commercial robotaxi operations will begin once the software is demonstrably safer than a human driver. In practical terms, Tesla must prove to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, that its system maintains an incident rate below 1 crash per 10 million miles, roughly 10 times better than the U.S. average. LiDAR-verified datasets could be Tesla's shortcut to that benchmark. Technically, the Plano tests also coincide with significant hardware updates. FSD V14 runs natively on the HW4 computer, a new in-house chip offering 2x the processing power of the previous generation. The vehicles feature upgraded 5-megapixel cameras with wider dynamic range and improved night vision capability. When combined with LiDAR ground truthing, these upgrades enable Tesla to capture highly accurate corner cases reflections on wet asphalt, low sun glare, complex pedestrian motion that previously confused its neural network. According to leaked telemetry shared with Electrek's technical contributors, each test car logs roughly 20 terabytes of raw data per week streamed via 5G and Wi-Fi 6 back to Tesla's data center in Austin. What makes the Plano expansion especially notable is its dual purpose. On one hand, it serves the engineering need for more diverse driving data. On the other, it functions as a live rehearsal for Tesla's envisioned ride-hailing network. The company's back-end servers are already capable of summoning FSD-enabled cars through the mobile app, routing them to pickup coordinates and recording trip telemetry. While those features remain hidden from public users, beta testers within Tesla's employee program have reportedly received internal builds simulating robotaxi mode. Plano's dense mixture of residential, commercial, and highway zones makes it an ideal sandbox to test dispatch logic, parking spot detection, and curbside passenger handling. Financially, the implications are huge. Tesla's own modeling shared during its Q2 2025 investor call suggested that each active robotaxi could generate between $30,000 and $40,000 in annual gross profit once the network scales. Even a limited rollout of 100,000 units would add billions in recurring revenue, the kind of growth Wall Street expects to justify Tesla's premium valuation. Yet that vision hinges on regulatory acceptance, software reliability, and above all, public trust. LiDAR validation again becomes a bridge to all three. It reassures regulators, accelerates safety metrics, and helps convince a skeptical public that autonomy can coexist with everyday traffic. Viewed in this light, the Plano testing program is not merely about adding lasers to Teslas. It represents a transitional moment where Tesla's bold vision-only experiment begins to integrate elements of traditional robotics discipline. Each car moving through Plano's intersections is effectively a mobile lab, scanning, learning, and feeding the neural network that may soon pilot millions of vehicles worldwide. The combination of cutting-edge software, advanced compute, and cautious validation hints that Tesla is preparing to move from testing autonomy to operating it. And if the data gathered here meets expectations, Plano could become the first suburb in America where Tesla's dream of a driverless fleet takes tangible form. From a strategic lens, Plano is Tesla's most pointed response yet to a competitive field that has shifted under its feet. For years, the company's autonomy narrative was defined by a stark contrast: Tesla's camera-only philosophy versus the multi-sensor redundancy embraced by incumbents like Waymo Cruise and Zoox. Seeing LiDAR-equipped Teslas circulating in North Texas complicates that narrative and in a way strengthens it. If the units in Plano are ground truth validators rather than permanent production hardware, Tesla gains an engineering fast track while keeping faith with its vision-centric thesis. The practical upside is obvious. LiDAR can resolve centimeter-level depth ambiguities that camera systems struggle with in corner cases, accelerating model training and smoothing regulatory conversations. The symbolism matters too. It shows Tesla is willing to be pragmatic to win the Robotaxi endgame, even as rivals build momentum with sensor-rich fleets. Teslarati. Consider the benchmark Waymo. While Tesla is just beginning to color outside Austin's lines, Waymo already runs a full commercial ride-hailing service across Metro Phoenix 24/7 over a service area it advertises at roughly 315 square miles. In practical terms, that means multi-city coverage within one metro, consistent pickup reliability, and the operational muscle that comes from years of driverless service with paid riders. Waymo's model-heavy sensor fusion with LiDAR radar cameras and HD maps targets high confidence at the system boundary. Whether you agree with Tesla's minimalist approach or not, the scoreboard today favors Waymo on deployed robotaxi miles and consumer availability. That is the bar Tesla must clear if it wants to be judged not on demos, but on daily rides. Waymo Cruise, meanwhile, has become a cautionary tale about scaling too fast and trusting too much in early regulatory wins. After incidents in San Francisco triggered a statewide permit suspension in late 2023, the company paused operations nationwide. GM eventually said it would stop funding the robotaxi business in December 2024 and fold work back into advanced driver assistance for personal vehicles. Even if aspects of Cruise's technology resurface inside GM's mainstream products, the dedicated robotaxi sprint that once pressured Tesla from the traditional auto side has materially slowed. For Tesla, that removes one near-term competitor chasing the same U.S. cities and underscores why disciplined validation, including LiDAR ground truthing, is more than optics. It's survival. The Guardian +1. Zoox is the wild card. Backed by Amazon, it chose the hardest route, building a bespoke bidirectional robotaxi with no steering wheel or pedals. That gamble is starting to show results. In September 2025, Zoox opened free rides to the public on a defined loop on the Las Vegas Strip, a small but symbolically potent pilot. The message is unmistakable: a purpose-built vehicle, a controlled service envelope, and the bankroll to iterate in public. If Zoox secures paid operations and expands to San Francisco or Austin as planned, Tesla faces a two-front battle against a mature multi-city Waymo and an Amazon-backed upstart, proving that tightly geo-fenced custom hardware fleets can win hearts, minds, and headlines. Reuters +1. Texas itself tilts the board in Tesla's favor. State law centralizes AV oversight and preempts a patchwork of city restrictions. The TX.cav task force has been courting industry since 2019. That policy posture matters. It lowers friction to test new hardware, expand ODDs, operational design domains, and build the evidence. Regulators will ultimately demand. Austin's own guidance makes the preemption explicit, which is one reason the region has become an AV magnet. In that context, Plano is not just another suburb, it's a policy-friendly proving ground stitched to Giga Texas by highways and data pipes. If Tesla can master suburban pickups, mixed commercial corridors, and freeway merges here, it can write a playbook for Dallas-Fort Worth and beyond. TX.gov SOS11. Strategically, then the question is not whether Tesla is copying its rivals. It's how Tesla can convert a temporary LiDAR assist into a permanent competitive advantage. The company's edge has always been data density and iteration speed. Even a modest Plano fleet can magnify that edge if every pass through a complex intersection yields perfectly aligned camera VARs LiDAR annotations that close long-tail errors in FSD v14. Waymo's strength years of curated HD maps and multimodal sensing won't erode overnight, but Tesla's strength, billions of real-world camera frames from a global customer fleet, scales non-linearly once the ground truth is dialed in. In the medium term, that could let Tesla meet or exceed safety thresholds without committing to the cost complexity and roof-mounted profile of permanent LiDAR on customer cars. Teslarati. There's also the brand and business model dimension. Waymo and Zoox are building networks, first fleets, second, wrapped in a B2C mobility brand. Tesla is uniquely attempting to turn an owned customer base into the network. If Robotaxi mode clears, regulators every HW4 equipped. Tesla becomes a potential gig worker that never sleeps, a distributed marketplace where owners opt in and the app handles dispatch pricing and safety supervision. That vision is breathtaking in scale and unit economics, but it hinges on persuading both regulators and the public that camera-first autonomy is robust in rain-slick suburbs, low sun glare, and crowded curb space. Plano's LiDAR-verified runs feel precisely aimed at those skeptics, scientific, quiet, and almost boring by design. In markets where Waymo is already carrying teens to soccer practice without a human driver, boring is the bar Tesla must meet. Will the Plano configuration become the blueprint? Not necessarily. A plausible path is that Tesla keeps LiDAR on dedicated engineering cars for mapping and model validation sweeps while shipping vision only. Consumer vehicles, leaner, BOM cleaner, roofline, fewer points of failure. In that world, the competitive wedge is software cadence, not sensor count, faster network, refreshes, denser edge case capture, and a regulatory file backed by LiDAR, checked evidence rather than LiDAR-equipped production cars. It's a hybrid of ideals and realities, close enough to Tesla's philosophy to remain authentic, close enough to robotics orthodoxy to pass muster with safety agencies in Texas and eventually federal authorities. None of this negates the rival playbooks. Waymo's service breadth in Phoenix is a daily reminder that operational maturity beats promise. Zoox's made-for-purpose pod shows how product design can simplify the autonomy problem by constraining it. But Plano is the first clear sign in 2025 that Tesla is tightening its loop capture richer. Truth data retrain faster, expand quietly, and arrive with a service that feels inevitable. If the company can parlay Texas's permissive framework into a multi-city footprint by late 2025, the next strategic stage isn't sensor debates on Twitter, it's price, wait times, coverage hours, and rider satisfaction scores. And on those metrics, the winner won't be the firm with the most lasers. It'll be the one that gets you to work safely, cheaply, on time, again and again. When Elon Musk first stood on stage in April 2019 and promised that 1 million Teslas would soon drive themselves as robotaxis, the world listened with a mix of awe and disbelief. He spoke of a near future where car owners could earn passive income by letting their Teslas ferry passengers while they slept. "You'll wake up and your car will be making money for you," he said with that trademark certainty that always blurred the line between prophecy and provocation. But as the years passed and the timeline slipped, even some of Tesla's most loyal fans began to wonder if the robo-taxi dream had turned into another far-off moonshot, too ambitious, too complex, maybe even impossible. Fast forward to late 2025, and the story suddenly feels different. Not because Tesla has delivered a fleet of driverless cars to customers yet, but because the company is doing something it rarely does, moving quietly. There were no grand press releases when the Plano prototypes appeared, no theatrical demo rides, no social media blitz from Musk. Instead, the story unfolded through grainy videos posted by residents' articles from Teslarati and Electrek, and silent test vehicles mapping every inch of the city. For longtime observers, this restrained rollout was uncharacteristic, a company famous for hype now embracing silence. And that silence ironically spoke volumes. It suggested Tesla had shifted from promising autonomy to engineering it in earnest. To understand why this moment matters, we need to look at Tesla's broader market context. The EV giant has spent much of 2025 defending its market share against an increasingly aggressive global field. Chinese automakers like BYD NIO and XPeng have flooded both Asia and Europe with affordable, well-equipped EVs. In the US legacy, players like Ford and GM have trimmed prices on electric crossovers, eating into Tesla's mid-range sweet spot. And while Tesla remains the clear leader in profitability and software sophistication, its stock has faced pressure. Investors now crave the next growth engine, something beyond car sales. Musk's answer, as always, is autonomy. The robotaxi network, if realized, could multiply Tesla's revenue base without producing a single new car. Yet Tesla's autonomy strategy is also shaped by something deeper: geography and regulation. California. Once the cradle of Tesla's innovation, has become a minefield of legal scrutiny and strict environmental codes. Arizona and Texas, by contrast, have leaned into a more libertarian ethos, flexible, business-friendly, and eager to attract high-tech investment. That's why the first robotaxi permits landed in Austin, and why Plano, a growing hub near Dallas, became the logical next step. With its clean road infrastructure, suburban density, and access to major highways, Plano offers the perfect testing ecosystem, not chaotic, like San Francisco, but not sterile, like a closed track either. It mirrors the environment where the majority of future robotaxi rides will actually happen: ordinary suburban commutes. Tesla's choice of Texas also resonates symbolically. The state has become Tesla's spiritual second home since the opening of Giga Texas, the massive manufacturing complex near Austin that now produces the Model Y Cybertruck and soon the new generation of powertrains. Musk himself relocated his personal residence and much of Tesla's executive team to the Lone Star State. The message is clear: innovation now flows through Texas. The Plano tests reinforce that narrative. This isn't just product development, it's a cultural and geographic statement about Tesla's next chapter. Still, the human side of the story remains as complex as the technology. For all its progress, Tesla faces skepticism from both regulators and the public. Every self-driving headline still conjures memories of autopilot crashes, viral dashcam videos, and fierce debates about accountability. In 2025, the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, reopened discussions about liability in Level 4 and Level 5 autonomous systems. Cities like San Francisco have oscillated between embracing and banning robotaxi services after safety incidents involving Waymo and Cruise. Against that backdrop, Tesla's restrained approach in Plano looks almost cautious, a company learning from its rivals' missteps. Rather than rushing to give rides to the public, Tesla appears intent on gathering clean, controlled data first. In an age where perception often shapes policy, that might be the smartest strategy of all. Meanwhile, inside Tesla, there's a palpable sense of renewal. Engineers who once felt crushed by impossible deadlines describe a shift towards steadier iteration. The FSD team, now fortified by the Dojo supercomputer, has more autonomy itself, able to train, deploy, and evaluate new models within days rather than weeks. Musk has reframed the conversation. When will robotaxis arrive? But how quickly can we prove they're safer than humans? He knows that regulatory approval, not hardware readiness, will be the final bottleneck. And with LiDAR-assisted validation running in Plano, Tesla may soon have the hard data it needs to argue its case. On Wall Street, the market has noticed. After months of volatility, Tesla's shares saw renewed momentum in Q3 2025, buoyed by record deliveries and optimism around the robotaxi roadmap. Analysts from Morgan Stanley and Wedbush called Autonomy the trillion-dollar trigger for Tesla's next valuation leap. In their models, even a limited robotaxi rollout could lift annual revenue by tens of billions. But these same analysts also warned that execution risk remains enormous. Building a global ride-hailing network isn't just about technology. It's about trust insurance and local partnerships. To that end, Tesla has begun quietly reaching out to municipal governments in Dallas, Phoenix, and Miami cities, likely to host early service zones once approval comes. Yet for all the data, the strategy, and the spreadsheets, there's an emotional undercurrent that defines this chapter. Tesla's pursuit of autonomy has never just been about convenience. It's been about control over the machine, over destiny, over the narrative of human progress. The Plano expansion captures that essence in miniature. Each test drive through a suburban intersection is both a technological step and a symbolic act, a company daring to revisit its own dogma in order to fulfill a promise once thought unreachable. As night falls over the wide Texan roads, a LiDAR dome glints briefly under a streetlight spinning silently. Inside the car, the steering wheel moves on its own, the pedals untouched. A safety driver watches, hands hovering but relaxed. The car glides through an intersection and turns smoothly into a residential lane. No drama, no noise, just quiet competence. It's mundane, almost forgettable. And yet, in that ordinariness lies the extraordinary, the faint but undeniable heartbeat of a future that at last is beginning to feel real. By the end of 2025, the city of Plano may be remembered as more than a quiet suburb north of Dallas. It could become the place where Tesla's decade-long pursuit of autonomy began to take tangible form. The sight of LiDAR-topped Teslas mapping its intersections is more than a local curiosity. It represents the convergence of persistence, pragmatism, and technological inevitability. After years of overpromising and underdelivering, Tesla appears to have entered a new phase defined not by showmanship, but by systematic progress. Each test car circling Plano's boulevards contributes to a growing data mosaic that could soon unlock one of the most ambitious transformations in modern transportation, a self-driving revenue-generating network of Teslas operating as robotaxis. The next 12 months will be decisive. According to Teslarati's reporting, internal schedules aim for pilot ride-hailing trials by late 2025 or early 2026 initially in Austin and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. If the program passes Texas's safety and insurance audits, Tesla could then seek expansion to Arizona, Nevada, and Florida, all states with favorable autonomous vehicle regulations. The roadmap aligns with Musk's long-standing vision of creating a national network of robotaxis before the end of the decade, a vision that once seemed far-fetched, but now feels incrementally achievable. The Plano program functions as the proof of concept, a bridge between Tesla's camera-based theory and the practical validation regulators demand. From a technological standpoint, Tesla's greatest strength lies in scale. No competitor has access to such a vast real-world dataset, billions of miles driven daily by customer vehicles, feeding back to a central neural net. With the addition of LiDAR verification, Tesla can refine this dataset into something regulators can trust: quantifiable, verifiable safety metrics. The shift doesn't betray the company's camera-first philosophy. Rather, it strengthens it. By grounding vision-based autonomy in LiDAR-validated truth, Tesla can argue convincingly that its system no longer relies on assumptions, but on proven equivalence to human perception. It's the difference between belief and evidence. Financially, the implications could be seismic. A fully operational robotaxi network would redefine Tesla's valuation and business model. Analysts project that even a modest fleet of 200,000 autonomous cars could generate over $8 to $10 billion in annual revenue, with margins far surpassing traditional car sales. More crucially, robotaxis would transform Teslas from static consumer products into active digital assets machines that produce income data and network effects long after their initial sale. If Tesla can deploy that model globally, it would transition from an automaker to a mobility platform rivaling Uber and Apple in daily consumer engagement. Yet for all its promise, the road ahead is steep and uncertain. Technical milestones mean little without regulatory blessing. Tesla must convince federal authorities that its full self-driving system meets or exceeds human safety standards, a process that could take years, not months. Public trust remains fragile. Memories of autopilot crashes and viral incidents still linger. Competitors like Waymo will continue to demonstrate fully driverless rides long before Tesla receives its first permit. But Tesla's counterpoint has always been scale and learning velocity. Where others operate hundreds of vehicles, Tesla operates millions. Where others collect data in specific cities, Tesla collects it everywhere. That asymmetry may prove decisive once the software matures and regulators see undeniable patterns of safety across billions of miles. There is also a philosophical shift underway inside Tesla. For the first time, the company seems comfortable acknowledging that perfection may not require purity. Musk's embrace of LiDAR, even as a temporary validation tool, shows a rare willingness to adapt. It's a reminder that innovation is not about defending an idea at all costs, but refining it until it works. In that humility, the same humility that allowed SpaceX to iterate rockets through failure, lies Tesla's best hope of finally conquering autonomy. What began as a crusade against sensors may end as a synthesis of them, a blend of vision AI and laser precision that together achieve what no single system could. And then there is the human story, the one that underpins all of this. Tesla's pursuit of autonomy is at its heart about freeing people from the stress of commuting, from the risk of accidents, from the inefficiency of idle machines. In Plano, the test cars glide quietly past schools' offices and homes, blending into the rhythm of daily life. To an untrained eye, they're just cars. But to those watching closely, they represent a profound shift, the moment when technology begins to merge seamlessly with the ordinary. It's not the spectacle of a concept reveal or a flashy press event. It's the quiet confidence of a system finally beginning to work. As 2026 approaches, one question hovers over everything. Will Tesla's Robotaxi network become reality before the end of the decade? The answer depends on the same variables that have always defined Tesla's story. Speed, resilience, and belief. The company that once built electric cars when no one else dared is now trying to remove the driver altogether. Whether history records Plano as the first step or just another detour will depend on the coming year's results. But one thing is certain, Tesla has crossed a psychological line. It no longer talks about robotaxis as someday. It is building them today, quietly, methodically, in the wide streets of Texas. So, as those silent test vehicles roll through Plano under the Texas sun, their LiDAR domes spinning like mechanical halos, a new chapter in the Tesla saga begins. It's a chapter not of hype, but of hard evidence, not of dreams deferred, but of dreams refined. And as the world watches, one can't help but wonder when these cars finally drive themselves across our cities. Will we remember where it all truly began?